As far as I'm concerned, summer food doesn't have to be eaten in summer, but at whatever time of year, it needs to summon up that brightness, intensity and openness, and everything can be tweaked to suit the mood of the moment. Watermelon mint and feta salad is what I make to create that instant hit of summer, and a wintry borscht can be chilled down and spiced up to make a gloriously cool Barbara Cartland pink soup. Don't worry, Matron is going to be very gentle with you. Now, I need these gloves actually to peel the beetroots for my spice pink soup, because otherwise I will have more than a touch of the Lady Macbeths about me. I've roasted them for a couple of hours in the foil, which really brings out their flavour, but they still leak their wonderful sweet blood, which is why I am protected. Beetroot's one of those odd things, a real kind of love or loathe sort of food, but I think most people just hate beetroot because of the memory of school beetroot, which is sort of flabby and disgusting. But the funny thing about roasting beetroot is that you don't have any of that flabby texture. It really brings out that wonderful sweet earthiness of the vegetable, and somehow the texture stays strong and pure. Ah, look how they glow at these wonderful sort of ruby lights. I know these are very darkly glowering now, but when you blitz them with some sour cream just before you eat the soup, it does go shockingly pink. Right, now I think I might have to remove one of these rather delicious gloves for this part of the operation. And go straight into the blender. Bit of lime juice. The beetroot is very sweet, I mean fabulously sweet, but I think you need to offset everything when you cook, and against the sweetness of the beetroot I want that intense sourness of lime juice. This is a spiced pig soup, and the spices I want here are those very strong, almost pungent, earthy ones. So I've got ground cumin, really pungent, and ground coriander. Nothing mimsy here. Right, I need some stock. The kettle should be hot. 1.5 litres for about that amount of beetroot. And some stock concentrate. Add a teeny bit now just to help this off. I don't want to add it all at once or I will be pink from head to toe. Here goes. I'm going to pour the stock through the funnel. Just going to pour it straight back in at this stage because I like to puree it again before eating it. And I know it looks really alarmingly magenta now, but once it's cooled and has been stirred through with some sour cream, it just goes the purest puce. One last thing before it gets cold. Just get a couple of spring onions, just slice them lengthways, stick them in the soup to infuse it with their flavour, And then when this is cold, just fish out spring onions and add the further kind of harmonious souring with some sour cream to counter all that spice sweetness. And blitz this soup one final time again before serving so that it's super smooth and silky. As improbable as it sounds, this combination of watermelon and feta does work incredibly well, somehow both savoury and refreshing at the same time. Obviously the watermelon and the feta are the chief ingredients, but before you start with them, you need to slice a red onion, cut it into really fine half moons and steep it in the juice of about 2 limes. And you will see, look how incredibly beautiful, I mean luminescently pink, really lit up. And it's not just the beauty, although that's no small consideration, but also it takes out all that kind of acrid burn you can get from raw onion, so you can eat this and your friends will like you afterwards. Okay, a little light chopping. It's nice to chop things fairly roughly for this salad. This piece weighs about 1.5 kilos. I'm just going to cut it away from its skin. And I want quite large chunks, but small enough to get into your mouth at one time, but then my mouth can accommodate. Roughly triangular shapes if you can, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then you really can just mix everything up as it comes into the bowl you're going to eat the salad out of. Ah, so beautiful. And against this lovely juicy pink graininess, some incredibly salty, dense feta. I mean, the contrast works on every level. I can't take that much credit for this combination because it really is the Middle Eastern variant of a Greek salad. And it makes sense because when it's very hot, what you need is food that is sweet, salty, and full of liquid. We'll just tumble this on top. Ah, fabulous. And then some black olives, pitted, about 100 grams here. Beautiful. And now my glowingly puce red onions. I know it looks like there is much too much onion there, but you must remember that the lime juice makes the onion so mild and sweet. It doesn't taste like that. And you need the juice. Can you see how pink it's gone because of the onions? And you do need the lime juice. It's part of the dressing for the salad. Bit of oil, not much. This is a lovely, lovely, light, refreshing salad. And all that remains, some really roughly torn off parsley. I like this to be eaten really like a salad leaf, not as a sort of herby garnish. And some roughly chopped mint. And just toss all this together and it is just easier to use your hands. Feels rather lovely. Well, I'm done and just desperate to dive in. Please try this, it's so incredible. If you're as much of a rhubarb addict as I am, you will be weepingly grateful for this fool. It's an old-fashioned English summer and pudding form, vanilla-scented, rhubarb rippled and totally dreamy. You need 500 mils of cream whipped. You want it lusciously thick but not stiff. And this here started life off as a kilo of rhubarb, which I cut into logs and just put in a baking tray with 300 grams of vanilla sugar, covered with foil and then roasted for about an hour. And I just strained it and forked it into a puree. Just gently fold in. You don't need to do much of this because the whole point is to have the smoothness of the cream rippled with the tart fruit. You don't want this one pink homogeneous mousse. And this is the thing which I think makes all the difference. The juices that the rhubarb made when it roasted, I reduced. It's going to pour some of this cooled pink goo in. Tastes like boiled sweets. And again, fold gently. Bit more rippling. And then little gentle filling of glasses. I love how it's feathered with the pink. We're back in the Eastern Mediterranean, give or take, for the bulgur wheat salad with lamb. And this is the bulgur wheat. It's cracked wheat, wonderful golden sort of crunchy shards of it. Has real bite, a sort of nutty flavour. And like all starches, it's very good at carrying other flavours, really strong flavours. And even better, you don't have to cook it, it just soaks. You should look at the packet instructions of the bulgur wheat you buy because it can be fine or it can be coarse. But this one needs about 15 minutes in hot water, just covered with a plate. And by the time the bulgur wheat has absorbed the water, the lamb should be absolutely ready and probably have stood for a few minutes too, because these are tender little loins. Just turn them over. Now I am going to get started on everything that's going to go in with the bulgur wheat. And I know this is an absurdly large bowl, but when you want to toss everything together, you need a bit of space to move around in. Now first, I have to have a bit of chilli because I want heat against the sweetness of the meat. And on top of the heat of the chilli, lots of onion, but I want that lighter, fresher bird of spring onions. And a huge amount of herbs, mint and coriander, because the salad really can take that depth of pungency. because you need contrast of texture as well as contrast of flavour, some courgette just to be cut up raw for chunky crunch. So I've done chopping, and the lamb, lovely and bouncy still, is ready. And this can stand just for a few minutes while the salad gets its final bit of tweaking. Now, I think the bulgur wheat looks like it's absorbed all the water, but just because I don't want this mushy, I'm going to do a little high-tech water removal. Strain the bulgur wheat just to let any excess liquid drip out. Then toss the bulgur wheat in. A few more herbs. And now, I love this, it's mixed together so that the golden grains become flecked with aromatic green. And the smell of the mint and coriander as you toss the wheat against it is just amazing. I want a really feisty dressing to go with this strongly flavoured salad, so I'm going to use 4 limes, and that's just for starters. Taste, and it may need more. This sounds like a lot, and as if the dressing is going to be really too acid and sharp, but in fact the bulgur wheat is very sweet. Well, all carbohydrate is sweet, and so what we're getting is balance, not invasive sourness. Now a small amount of olive oil and a good crunchy scattering of salt. We use forks now just so it doesn't all start clagging up. And you know, it's because of these strong flavours in the salad that the lamb is as it is. No marinade, nothing. Just sweet and meaty and pink. The last bit, but the hardest if you're clumsy, assembly stage. You can have the salad on one plate and just carve the lamb and slice it on another one, but I love them together. The green flecked grain and the pink slices. I want to be eating this at some sun-dappled portside restaurant in the Levant. Somehow it's impossible to be English without being afflicted by the most terrible strawberry nostalgia. We all cling on to this belief that there was a time when life was good and strawberries really tasted of strawberries, sweet and red and juicy, and holding the whole of summer in their buried centre. Yeah, but we all know it's not always like that. I mean, sure, when fruit's as luscious as this, you want to eat them as they are, just untouched. But for the rest of the time, they need a bit of help. I love to use a reader's tip that I picked up from a newspaper to make strawberries fragrant with rosewater. Hull and halve a couple of punnets of strawberries and sprinkle over a spoonful each of caster sugar and rosewater. Cover with cling film and leave to steep for an hour or so at room temperature before eating as they are or over ice cream. Wimbledon meets the Arabian Nights. Heavenly. And I adore this classic Italian way of bringing out the natural sweetness of strawberries. Chop them roughly, sprinkle with sugar and macerate in a few drops of best quality balsamic vinegar. Once flavoursomely soused, spoon them on top of cream-dolloped good shop-bought meringues. One messy bite and you're lost. For me, strawberries are the taste of lyrical, wide-skied summer, and this drink is the essence of that. Blend strawberries with sugar to taste to a puree and top up with a bottle of Prosecco or other fizzy white wine. For me, a strawberry fragonard is the spirit of summer. There is just something about homemade strawberry ice cream. It's the taste of blue skies and of sun on your shoulders, the childhood we all wish we had. I've got 500 grams of strawberries here, just roughly chopped with a couple of spoonfuls of sugar sprinkled over. And I want to blitz these now. So not completely liquid, but nubbly and red and mushed up. I'm just going to leave these here to let their strawberryness intensify while I get on with the ice cream base. In that pan, I've got half a litre each of milk and cream, warmly infusing with a vanilla pod, which I'm now going to remove. I'm done with it. And in here, I've got 10 egg yolks, which I know sounds like a lot, but I am making a huge batch of ice cream. On top of the egg yolks goes 175 grams of caster sugar. Whisk the sugar into the yolks. Whisk this in. And then back into the pattern. Don't be alarmed of making ice cream at home. It is no big deal. It's just a question of reheating this, gently stirring just for about 5 minutes or so until it thickens slightly. And that's just how I want it now. Can you see? Not that thick, slightly thickened. A beautiful pale primrose. And while this is cooling down, I'm going to entertain myself with a little light clearing up. Perfect, cold, and now, I love this bit. 1 primrose, 1 red, shortly to be 1 united pink. Just fold the strawberries in. And there is one final thing, and it makes such a difference. The juice of half a lemon. I can't tell you what this does. All the flavours spring into action. It makes all the difference in the world, and it means you can make this, as I have, in bleakest February with long-haul imported strawberries, and it tastes of mid-June. Tubs away. So it goes in here and in the deep freeze, and then we are frankly 2 blitzes away from the most deliriously perfect ice cream in the world.